Hello everyone and welcome to Miranda Detailing. In today's video we are detailing a 2015 Dodge Challenger RT. Now the color of this thing, as you can see, is pretty awesome. It's like a blaze purple. Now the customer wants us to do a full paint correction, and then we're going to coat it with Gtechniq EXOv3. And of course all the trim like I usually do with Gtechniq C4, the trim restore. So let's take a look at the paint and see what we're dealing with today. So obviously the customer takes very good care of this. It really does not need a heavy compounding. In fact, maybe just a 1 or 2 stage light compound and polish is going to get out any of those light marring, wash marrings that you see, or maybe some light water spots. There was a few spots on the door, and the vehicle was just delivered today, and it's raining out. It's cold and rainy, so I'm going to wash it and decontaminate it first, clay bar it, and then fully dry it. And then we'll be able to see the bottom panels because they're still kind of grungy and wet, and I really can't see down there with the light. The top surface is dried enough that I could see them, but as you saw, the paint really isn't horrible. Now this vehicle, about 2 years ago, maybe a little over 2 years, I think the customer said, was polished and coated with CarPro C-Quartz. So he said it's just about at the end of its life right now. It still has some protection, but we're going to, of course, strip that when we polish it and compound it, and then we're going to apply the Gtechniq coatings instead. So let's get the wash process started and the decontamination process started. We're going to do that right now, and then we'll go into examining the paint once again and see where we're at before we begin polishing. So let's go. Now the customer had mentioned these weird spots around the vehicle, and we washed the vehicle and we're in the drying process now, and you can see these faint marks in the paint. Now he says when the dew hits it, it really stands out. Now this was supposedly polished and coated with sea quartz, the CarPro sea quartz, but something doesn't look right. You can see a mark there, a mark there, a mark there, there. Again, those marks there that we just saw. There. So as we're drying, we're seeing these weird little spots that I don't really know what that is. I think it just could be that it was polished improperly. It could be residue that was left on there prior to applying the sea quartz. Now another weird thing, let's see if we can see it in the light. Let's kind of get a close-up shot of this. You can see these swipe marks. It almost looks like I went like this with the paint, but it's still there. You can see those faint lines like that? That is kind of weird. I really don't know what that is. Only thing I can think of is it's perhaps residue that was underneath sea quartz. Obviously it wasn't wiped down properly. Now it's not horribly swirled. We'll check it and see with the lights to see if there's any holograms we can catch. But those marks are strange. Those should not be there, because they'll show up when the dew hits the vehicle. It should be even all across the panel. And it's kind of throughout the vehicle, he mentioned. It's just easier to see in the hood because I have so much light on it. So let's go into the blow drying process. The paint has been washed and clay barred, and now we go in for the inspection, and it really is in good shape. There's a few spots here and there that there are some wash marring, some weird marks on the paint, some light swirls. The hood seems to be in pretty good shape. Now as we go on to the fenders, you can see there's some light wash marring, some light swirls. That's really not too bad. There's some deeper ones there. And usually as you go towards the bottom, it gets a little worse, so there's some more swirls and little marks down there. There's a few more marks. Some light marring. It might be kind of hard to capture the swirls, the before and afters. I think possibly the worst part is going to be The trunk area, you can notice the swirls a lot more here. So the trunk area, you can notice the swirls a little bit more. Still not horrible. So this will probably need maybe 2 or 3 hits. Yeah, we can see some more light marring and some light swirls. And the roof has them too. In fact, the roof, and on the roof, there's definitely some scratches right there. These weird abrasions and scratches. Yep, see. So we'll work those out. And there's a few little chips here and there. There's some stone chips. And there's another little chip, stone chip. There's a few of them, but I have touch-up paint for that. We're going to clean up all the plastic and coat that. And we're going to remove the license plate cover here as well so we can get behind there. There's a little abrasion there that you can see in the corner. So we're going to sort that out and make it look good again. And it looks like there's just some residue there. Some wax residue or polish residue. Alright, so let's get started on the polishing process. So polishing on the hood really isn't too bad. I'm just using Miranda 3800 with an orange pad with just enough bite to be able to get out those light swirls and wash marring. And as you can see, it's coming out really nice and crisp and clear. It's just hard to capture that light marring on the paint on this super metallic purple. So we're going to continue with the hood. And I'm sure as we go to the bottom portions, and especially some portions on the top and on the trunk, will need some compounding and then polishing, a multi-step compounding and polishing to be able to remove those heavier swirls. So let's continue. So the swirls on the hood, a little bit more than the sides. But it's clearing up nicely. Here you can see the line. So before, after. Before, after. Do you prefer 1 or 2? 1 or 2? 1 or 2? Alright, that's enough of that. Let's continue. Alright, so we're dealing with this little scratch here, and it starts right around here. It's really hard to pick up, but it's really light. I've already compounded it with the foam pad, but I'm going to see if I can chase it a little bit more safely and make it less noticeable. It looks like it goes into here just, yeah, it does. Yep, I can see it now. So let's see what we can do in chasing out that light scratch. And I think there's one just up here, which we got to be careful with. Yeah, right there, because you don't want to go too close to that edge. So let's see what we can do with that. Okay, so we cut it with a microfiber cutting pad and D300. And of course we're going to refine the paint as well. And you can barely see that scratch below that body line. But here, I think we were able to chase it out completely. And I went into the next panel just a little bit, but I'll probably cut that a little bit more. But I don't seem to see it. I cannot see it. So I think that was successful. Alright, so the paint is really coming out nice. As you see, I shut the overhead lights in the garage, the fluorescence. I find that it kind of floods the area with too much light, and it's hard to see the defects. It's better if you have just those, you know, like the light I have there in the stand. I have another one in the corner, and then I have the two down below my other stand with the LED lights. And of course I have my headlamp. But I find that when the lights are out, the light isn't bouncing off the walls and it's not flooding out the area with so much light so that you can't really see the swirls in the paint and the defects in the paint. In fact, I'm debating if I should paint the walls in here not a flat black, but maybe a flat dark gray. That way it really does focus the light on the paint and doesn't bounce off the walls too much. So I am just on the driver's side quarter panel. It's a huge quarter panel. It's more like a third panel because it's all one piece here. It even goes over the windshield. This is all one piece. There's no seams here at all, which is kind of nice. I can just kind of keep going with the polisher on these gigantic panels. But it really is coming out nice. And a few areas I am having to do some heavier compounding with the cutting pad. So some areas, like the roof and the hood, came out great with just kind of an aggressive one-step with D300. I'm still going to go and refine all of the paint anyway, just to make sure that there's no light marring left over from the compounding. Sometimes it's hard to see that in this color. So I'm going to still go over it, most likely with either Menzerna 3800 or M205, whichever one wipes off cleaner. I'm finding that M205 is still my go-to. It just wipes off really, really nice, and I don't have to, use any pressure. Sometimes Menzerna 3800, there's a little bit of resistance on it on some paints. So we'll continue on compounding and polishing the Challenger.
And you did right from the start. Missing someone is as normal. Missing someone and missing someone is as normal. Missing someone.
So I'm making my way around the passenger side, and the top of this fender I just cut, but I have the trunk open because when you look here, this spoiler overhangs onto the back fender. So there's this little square that's untouched. So I need to go back over and make sure that that is cut and polished. That looks nice. That doesn't. All right, let's get that straightened out. Now I removed the front license plate, and here we have just this abrasions, most likely from the vibration. I've actually seen that before. There are parts underneath the hood, not on this one that I noticed, but another muscle car that I did a while ago. It actually had some worn parts underneath the hood, and the customer said it was actually due to vibrations. So the license cover in the front, it probably does that as well. So it leaves these abrasions around the license plate cover. So let's see if we can fix those up. Alright, so I think it came out really nice. Removing those, and you can see the line still right there, but that's going to be right at the edge of the license plate cover. It's not a cover, but you put the license plate on it. And see the other one on this side too, but it's now a lot better. And the abrasion up here is gone, and along the edge is not completely gone, but enough to be okay. Yeah, looks much better. Cutting is done now. Now I polished the windshield and I coated that. What I'm going to do is start on the wheels. I'm going to just lightly polish the wheels, IPA them, and then coat them. But tomorrow I will do all the finishing on the paint. That really won't take me too long because it's pretty much there, but I just want to refine it and make sure that the paint is looking as good as it can. And I want to show you guys what I'm going to use for the wheels. So I just made these little guys, and I know there are some on the market already that look much better than these, but I just made these really quick, and basically they are finger applicators, and I'm going to use them on the wheels. Makes it really easy to apply. So you can either do the 2-finger pockets, or I have this one for getting into other little tight areas. So I don't know, what do you guys think? Let me know in the description below. I can actually make these because I own a sewing machine, and I actually do a little bit of sewing. I actually make men's accessories and ties and bow ties and things like that. So I figured, well, I wanted some little applicators, and I just quickly sewed these, and we'll see how they work. If you guys want some of these yourselves for this wheel coating, for coating wheels, or maybe even trim, I'll probably use these on the trim also. Let me know. Let me know what you think. If you've bought the other ones that are online. I've seen a few of them. Some are a little bit bigger, some are about this size or so. But let me know in the description below what you guys think of that. So let's see them in action. Cutting is complete, so now we're going to start finish polishing, and we're going to make sure all the paint is crisp and clear now, and then I will begin coating the paint as well as the trim. So let's get started with the polishing.
Without acting alone, have me come slow, have me come slow. Without have no soul.
Alright, so coating time. All of the plastics are coated. I like to start with those first, get them finished and out of the way. I feel they're the more intricate, especially with the grill. The sides and the back really weren't that difficult and around the windows, but the grill pieces, I want to get in there with that little finger applicator and make sure that everything looks nice. So trim is now done. We already have the wheels done, they're coated, windshield is coated. So only thing left is now coat the paint and clean the glass and dress the tires. That will be it. So let's start with the coating. As always, fresh, brand new towels. I make sure to have one as my first wipe. That collects the majority of the coating residue, and then I have a final wipe that you will notice if you are into ceramic coatings. The first towel will start to build up and you can feel the difference. Usually about halfway through I switch out my first wipe towel because it just seems like it's not really saturated with coating, but you can tell I've used up all the sides and it's not wiping as clean. So I'll switch that one out, but the final one, I usually use that one till the end because there's not that much on there. It's just basically to get all the edges of the coating and just get any little extra residue that might be on there, to knock down any of those little high spots, to make sure that everything is removed and the coating can cure properly. I always have a fresh stock of applicators, and I only use these once for ceramic coating, and then I always put them in a bucket of water with soap. Same with these towels. I'll never use them again to reapply coatings, but I'll use them on other details because it does wash out, but just so that I feel at ease with making sure that when I'm applying the coating on a freshly polished car, it's always new applicators, new towels. So let's begin. Don't shake this. We are almost done glass cleaning. So windshield and the outside is done. There's just a little bit in the inside I want to make sure to clear up. And then side windows, inside and outside of back glass. So let's get on it. So I'm just replacing the license plate covers on the front and the back, and the little screws that hold the license plate in are purple. We are going to touch these up with the paint from the vehicle, same color. Here's the paint. So let's just touch these up. So that does it. The Challenger is complete. It's been polished, it's been coated, it's protected, it is ready to go. And it is looking beautiful. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with others who may enjoy it. If you have any questions or comments, put them down below. I try my best to answer everyone. If you have any questions or anything like that that you would like to ask me, hope to see you next time. Have a great day.